So you want to play an Elementalist, and you don't know what is good and what is fun. Well, this is fun, and it's kind of good. It usually does decent damage, about competitive with like an E-Surge build, but it has area radius for 2 abilities, which is pretty cool. So we can use Intensity on any of our spells, and we can also use Starburst to deal pretty good AoE damage. And then we can spam Lava Font as needed, and actually deal a decent bit of damage there. And then we're going to run in and try to hit as many things with big spells as possible. So we're going to go way in here. Just keep nuking as much as we can. You want as many things hit by your AoEs as you can do. That is the ideal goal. And you also want to position yourself in the middle of these AoEs. And you can also combine damage. You can combine intensity with like lava fonts to keep foes stuck in it and whatever. We can also use lava font to push away things intentionally so that they're like kind of shut down, because when they're running away they're not really doing anything. And you can also body block, and if you have a minion army this can be pretty good, because then enemies have a hard time like retreating because there's just a minion army. Here, let's hit this guy. We're dazed. Fantastic. There's a lot of days on this map. It's very fun for casters, but we're still doing well. We're 42% team damage right now, which is pretty good. Let's hit this guy. There's a Temple Guardian that aggroed. Somehow. I guess we aggroed that early. We're dazed again, but that's alright. We're 38% damage. Now the only downside of this build is that it's all point blank, so if you get stuck, or if enemies are running around you, or they run away from you, it can be kind of a problem, but that's true of like most AoE builds. You have to make sure the enemies are like actually on top of you, so that the build is effective. Now you can precast Intensity. Alright, these Rangers kind of throw a wrench in the works, because they immediately... Here, let's do this. This is going to get bursted down too fast, it looks like, for me to really lava font it, but still get some damage off. But the Rangers kind of run around randomly. They like rush it. Like, look at where they're positioned right now. They're kind of like chaotic. Same thing with the Temple Guardian, so it's a little difficult to get everything balled up here, but we'll still try. Alright, those are dead already. These also knock you down when they hit you, so right now I'm getting smacked, and they're knocking me down because they have a crit knockdown ability, which is very cool. So we're going to be dealing with that for a moment. But this is a pretty fun build, does pretty good damage. You can run it in pretty much most contents. I'm Unstoppable is pretty good for not getting knocked down, but obviously it still is getting knocked down because it was on cooldown, so that can still happen. And then these dudes like to daze, so I'm going to try to not get dazed as much as I can. And we're doing good damage, even though, you know, we're hitting Rangers that have high armor. We're still able to deal similar damage, a little bit more damage than the E-Surge with 16 Dom that's being bipped, so that's pretty good. If you're out damaging an E-Surge and you're killing things, that's solid for a build, generally. And heroes are pretty good at using E-Surge. This E-Surge also has Overload, so it has built-in energy management with Power Drain. It doesn't have SR5 mod, but it's being bipped, so it doesn't need it. It has E-Surge, Cry, Mistrust, Unnatural, Spiritual, and Overload, and Shatter. And Overload is actually a ton of extra damage for heroes because they're really good at using it. So it actually gives you quite a bit of damage. So this has been pretty good so far. And then this, let's do one of these. Throw this down. We want them to ball up as much as possible, so that we can nuke them to hell. And we bring the hell. Or something. We do want to kill this guy. I'm in a Raj. Gotta get out of the Raj. I died to Starburst, 351 damage. What? Togo died? That was going so well. I was 35% damage. Alright, I guess I can just recap because it's gonna just be more of that. Alright, so Togo died or Menlo died or something to the Starburst that had to hit me for 300. So overall, what is the thing with this build? Well, it's pretty good burst damage. As you can see here, we outdamage 2 Mesmers. We have 2 different E-Surges. One of them is more utility, the other one is more just raw damage and energy management. And we have Intensity. We can use Intensity with Flame Burst, Meteor, or Starburst. You can cast Intensity when Lava Font is out. Cast it as soon as the spell is done. So like at the tail end of casting, you can usually still catch the Intensity. Otherwise, Lava Font can trigger it. So, but Lava Fawn is really good. It does cause scatter, so if you don't want scatter, you can drop it for something else. But generally, it's quite strong, and it's a pretty good skill. Now, you can actually run this build without enchants, but I'll make a variant video in the future. And also, you can run things like Evan Battle Standard and stuff like that. So that's very good as well, because it gives you a little bit more damage. Now, getting in is a problem. Like, usually you want to be moving faster, so depending on what your team is doing, maybe you want to bring assassin skills like dash and shadow step and stuff like that. And I am unstoppable is generally optional. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this one. Definitely like and subscribe if you found this useful, and I'll see you next one. Peace.